When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord hath done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God hath done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God hath done. Good morning, church family. It is Monday, April the 20th, and I hope you've had a great weekend. Let me share a story with you real quick. One Sunday in church, members were praising God for what He had done in their lives that week. Mr. Smith stood up and he said that the roof of his house had caught fire, but fortunately a neighbor had seen it, and the possible disaster was averted with only minor damage. A minute later, a woman stood up. She said, "I have a praise too." She said, "I'm Mr. Smith's insurance agent." It's funny, blessings come in all shapes and sizes and in different ways, and many times blessings come in unexpected ways. And I think that's maybe some things that are happening right now, even in the midst of all this craziness that's going on. If we really look at it and look at our situation, I think that we can look really close and see some ways that God is blessing us unexpectedly. But it requires us to look at it a little bit. In the book of Ruth, we read about the life of Ruth, and in her life, in that story, when we look at that, we find some unexpected blessings that come through her life as well. Naomi and Ruth had come together in less than ideal circumstances. To escape famine in Israel, Naomi's family moved to Moab. And while they were there, her two sons married Moabite women, Orpah and Ruth. Then, after they'd been there a while, about 10 years, Naomi's husband died. And then after that, her two sons died. And in that culture, women were dependent on men, which left the three widows in quite a predicament. And so word came to Naomi that the famine in Israel had ended. And so she decided to make the long trek back home. Orpah and Ruth started to go with her, but Naomi urged them to return home, saying, "The hand of the Lord has gone against me." That's in Ruth chapter 1, verse 13. And she urged them to go home where they lived. She didn't think she had anything to offer, or that it was good for them to go with her. Now Orpah listened, and she went on home, but Ruth continued on with Naomi, and affirming her belief in Naomi's God, despite Naomi's own fragile faith. Ruth said, "I'm going to go with you. I'm going to stick with you. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. Where you live, I will live." And she wanted to go with Naomi and be with her and help her and take care of her. And so she went with her, and they made the trek back to Israel. Now, where this story started in desperately unpleasant circumstances with famine and death and despair and uncertainty, it changed in the course of this story, in the course of Ruth's life. It changed direction to undeserved kindness. We see undeserved kindness from Ruth to Naomi, where she went with her to take care of her. And then we see undeserved kindness from a man named Boaz to Ruth. It involved some unlikely people, two widows, an aging Jewish woman and a young Gentile woman, and Boaz, who was the son of a prostitute. When we read the lineage of Jesus in Matthew chapter 1, we see that Boaz was the son of Ruth, who was a prostitute. And so here we have these unlikely players in this story that seem to come together. And it kind of involved or depended on unexplainable intervention. Ruth just so happened to go glean grain in the field of Boaz. She went to that field and she asked the harvesters if she could just follow behind them and just pick up the little bits of stuff that they dropped, gather that all up and take it home so they would have some food to eat. She wasn't asking to harvest in the field where they were harvesting and to get the good stuff. She just wanted to get the stuff that fell on the ground, that they were going to leave behind anyway. And so she did that. And the story ended in unimaginable blessing. As she was gleaning and doing that, Boaz caught attention of her and asked who she was, and told her to not go to any other field, but to continue coming to his field and to glean the grains, follow behind the women that were harvesting. He even told the men to leave her alone, to not lay a hand on her, and let her drink the water that they had put together in the jars there. And they also told them to occasionally just cut some stalks of grain and lay them down behind you, and Ruth will pick them up. And so he was being very kind to her and taking care of her, because he'd heard their story, that they had come back, that their husbands had died, that she was taking care of Naomi, and he appreciated what she was doing. And in the middle of all of that, he went on and made her his wife. Now, the biggest unexpected blessing of all of that is that she bore him a son who went on to be the grandfather of King David. And so Boaz was the great-grandfather of King David. And then we follow that lineage down to Jesus Christ himself. It's an unexpected blessing in the middle of a crazy story that started with a desperate need, a lot of anxiety and uncertainty, but God used that to bless not only Ruth and Boaz, but to bless the entire world with Jesus Christ. God makes miracles out of what seems insignificant, fragile faith, a little kindness, and ordinary people, and he takes things like that and he makes amazing things happen, and he causes, not causes, but he blesses us in unexpected ways through sometimes unexpected people or unexpected circumstances. And so maybe during this time of uncertainty and trial and hardship, if we look really hard, there are some unexpected blessings that are happening as well. We're spending more time with our families. Maybe you are enjoying being at home and not having to run to one thing after another, and you're actually getting to be home and be with your family and your spouse and have conversation and have that time together. Maybe you're getting to do some projects that you've been wanting to do for a really long time and just haven't had the time to do it or been able to stop long enough, and now you are able to do those projects and get those completed. And there's even a sense of peace and fulfillment and being able to do those things and complete something. And so maybe there's some blessings in that. And certainly, if we look at it and think about it long enough, we'll find a number of blessings that God is doing. Maybe you're able to reflect and reprioritize for yourself and for your family, and maybe how you're going to schedule things from this point forward, even after this is over and we're not quarantined any longer. Maybe perhaps you're learning how to reprioritize things for your family. Whatever it might be, pray about it. Ask God to help you see it. See what those blessings are that are coming through this particular trial in our lives at this time. God wants to bless us. He does it in some amazing ways, some unexpected ways, and it's really fun sometimes to look and see how he's doing that, and then to give him the praise for those unexpected blessings. I hope that you feel blessed. I hope that you're seeing some unexpected blessings in your life right now, and I hope that you feel encouraged by these thoughts. Love you guys, miss you guys, and until the next time, we'll see you later.